Okay guys, I have another reaction video for you today. I am working on two specific videos that are taking a little bit of time to research and put together in a presentable manner. So while I'm doing that, just to kind of keep some content getting out there on a somewhat regular basis, I'm going to do some reactions. And this one is called "Is Dating in the Philippines Worth It?" by Joey Explores SEA. It just happened to come up when I searched in YouTube dating in Philippines. And it's a small channel, very much larger than my own, mind you, but I'm going to react to this one. I'm curious what he has to say. And right off the top, you can see that he's obviously in a more rural area, definitely not BGC. In fact, in the description, you can see that this was from about 2 months ago in Cebu City. So that's where he says he's located. And I'm just curious what he has to say, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. Also, this is a 7 minute and 54 second video. I noticed that if I do video reactions of between like 15 and 19 or 15 and 20 minutes, mine's going to end up being around 30. And I feel like that's probably a little bit too long. I'm not really going for that kind of a long video. So I'll be looking for videos more in the 5 to 10 minute range if possible, but we'll see. All right, so let's see what he has to say. I've not watched this.
Welcome back to the channel. Okay. So today I want to talk to you about dating in the Philippines. Yeah, watch these stray dogs, man. They're everywhere. It's bad. Dog just came running around the corner on me. So yeah, I want to talk about dating. Now, I have seen too many times, and I have experienced myself. The original reason I came to the Philippines was for a woman.
So he said the original reason he came there was for a woman. Now, I don't know specifically if he means for a specific woman, like there's a specific person that he came over there for, which I kind of get why that would be the case. You're online, you're chatting, maybe you video chat and you think, oh, this person's amazing. I have great, chemistry with this person. We have so much in common. We have the same kind of values and future ideas. But anybody I feel who's been around long enough, like for me, 47 years by now, and you've had the experience where, either one, you have really, really great online chemistry connection with someone, your conversations are amazing. Even on the phone, it goes really, really well. And then you finally meet the person and it's just like dead. There's no vibe, there's no feelings, there's no connection. You can't explain why. It's just, for whatever reason, even though you've seen their pictures, you've heard their voice, you've had a lot of conversation, there's just something missing. And you can't force it. It's something that's very, it's hard to explain. It's maybe impossible to explain, but you either have that or you don't. Now, that's not to say that over time you can't grow closer together. You can't, like a lot of the times in certain countries, at least in the past, I don't know about now, but they would have arranged marriages. And, like I remember Coming to America, that old Eddie Murphy movie. I remember it was like his parents, they didn't even like each other when they met, but they have a great long marriage because, they just got to know each other and they just made it work, and they were kind of forced to make it work. But initially, maybe they weren't really attracted to one another. So I don't know if he's talking about going over there for a specific person or if it's just for a woman, like he went there to find a woman. So I don't know, but I would definitely caution anybody who knows anything about, this whole area, because this is SEA, Explores SEA. So that doesn't mean that he's always going to be in the Philippines. He might go to Vietnam or Thailand or wherever in that general area. Same as me, but I wouldn't go somewhere and give up everything in my life and go to a whole nother country for someone that I've never met because, like I just said, you have no idea, no matter how good or strong the online conversation, connection, chemistry, whatever. I'm going to use those words again and again, unfortunately, but you have no idea if that's going to translate at all to the in real life interaction. So, I would go there maybe for a week, maybe for 2 weeks, meet that person, maybe meet some other people, put yourself out there and kind of see what ends up working. But hopefully he didn't put all his eggs in one basket and kind of make this huge leap for a person that he's never met, because especially with the ocean of options being so big and he's like a normal looking guy. I think nothing wrong with him, nothing super spectacular, just a regular guy. But if he was like, say, a 4 or a 5 in the United States, which I'm guessing Texas, Georgia, something like that, based on his accent, I have no idea, then he's probably a 6 or a 7, which is pretty good in a place like the Philippines. So you're going to have so many options that going somewhere for a single person that you've never met, I wouldn't recommend it, but I totally get it at the same time. So, everybody makes their own decisions. I'm curious what else he has to say though. So let's go on.
But I see a lot of foreigners, a lot of expats. Oh, these stupid barking dogs. Man, like, if you're going to live here, you might as well get used to it. So, because they're everywhere. Listen. Everywhere. Anyways. I see a lot of these guys, they fall into the same traps, man. They're probably lonely back in their home country. Hard to get a date, or they just don't want a date because, well, Western women are horrible. Let's be honest. That's why most of us come to places like this. But they'll come here with a savings and a dream, right? They'll come here with a savings and a dream. And they'll usually, try to shack up with the first Filipina that pays them any kind of attention.
So it's kind of hard for me to really understand that perspective. Like I get it, but I've been doing a lot of research. I've been doing a lot of video watching for probably 5+ years, mostly starting with Thailand, believe it or not. And you just have to know that no matter basically what you look like, have a little bit of confidence that you're, like I said, from a scale of 1 to 10, you're going to probably add 2 or 3 on the scale when you move over there. So you might have no luck. You might be lonely here. And hopefully, even if you don't have any confidence and you go over there and you're not expecting much and, you still have your same Western mindset, give it some time. Maybe go over there and for the first week or 2 at least, like, don't date. Don't even try. Just walk around malls, just act like a normal person, shop, get to know the area, get to try a lot of the food, maybe just check out some of the markets and things like that. And just don't have dating on your mind. At least that would be my recommendation. But if you've done any research at all, like I have and I'm doing, and that's what these reactions are for primarily, the last thing you want to do is just like give yourself away to the first person who pays you any mind, which, people maybe in America or the UK or Australia, maybe that's the case where nobody pays you mind and you'll basically lower your standards to the point where if anybody sends you a message that has, any modicum of substance, you're going to be all excited and you're going to like start talking to them and you're going to be like, oh, I'm ready to be with you because nobody else wants to be with me. So, I'll take you. You're going to be good enough, even if she's not. So, you have to realize that when you're in a place like this, specifically in the Philippines or Thailand or maybe Vietnam, I'm not really interested. Maybe in the future I would go there just to check it out, but I don't really see it on my radar. You have to realize that you have all of the options in the world and basically everybody over there. And I know this is just stereotyping. It's not exactly true, but I'm just going to say it as it is. So everybody's going to be trying to lock you up. They're going to try to get pregnant. They're going to try to move in with you. They're going to try to get married. They're going to try to, you know, have you meet their parents or their siblings or their coworkers, and and then make you feel guilty for breaking up with them or deciding that you don't want to be with them. Oh, you met my parents and you're going to make her so sad if you break up with me or whatever. Or, oh, I just introduced you to my coworkers and now you've disappeared. I'm so disappointed. So I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but the point is just, this is already sounding bad. And I don't know if these are real stories. I hear them all the time, so they must be. But to me, it just kind of seems a little bit absurd that you would go somewhere. It's like going to a buffet. And I know this is a terrible analogy. Forgive me. I'm going to have a lot of terrible analogies, most likely. But, it's like going to a buffet and then, seeing chicken legs or barbecue wings or something like that. And even though you have the entire buffet, you just sit there and you just stuff yourself with the chicken wings until you can't eat anything else. Meanwhile, you didn't touch the crab legs, you didn't do the spaghetti, you didn't do burgers, you didn't do, a salad, you didn't do anything, no dessert, no nothing, just chicken wings. So it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, don't settle for the first item at the buffet. Try things out, see how you feel, see what you like. Explore a little bit and don't let yourself get trapped. Don't let yourself get trapped because there is absolutely no reason to settle when you're in a place like this. So let's continue.
Instead of taking the time to properly date, they'll meet these Filipinas and then a month or two later they're married and got a kid on the way.
Wow. Okay. I didn't see that one coming. That's absolutely insane. That is crazy. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around why you would go to a place like this. Like I just explained, it's like a buffet. And then you get married and you have a kid on the way in a few months. I mean, I can't see that ending well. If you went over there because you're lonely or you have poor self-esteem and life's just really hard, you're probably going to have a wandering eye because you get over there and it's like, oh, this woman really likes me. I'm going to get a relationship with her because I might not have another chance. Well, maybe that's the case in America, for example, but that's not the case there. So let's say you do all that stuff and then, well, you can't help it because when you go out to the store, you're going to be hit on and flirted with by all kinds of women. And come on, you're not strong enough to basically just, push them away and turn your back to them. You're probably eventually going to start entertaining it, especially when it's a really cute, maybe it's a 20-year-old or it's a 30-year-old or whatever, whatever the case may be. It's someone that just really gets your blood pumping, maybe really clicks with you. And you're going to probably, I don't want to say you're going to cheat, but you're probably going to have a wandering eye. And then what's that going to do to your wife who's now pregnant? You're in a seat, you're still in the same buffet. And, just because you've got that woman doesn't mean there's not still hundreds, if not thousands of others who are interested in you. So are you really at the point where you have the strength or the conviction to really just settle down? And why would you? But, hey, in this situation, you're already in that predicament, I guess I would say. And, there's really no putting the toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak. So you really want to try to think about this stuff before it gets to this point, because there's really no backing out unless you just want to be one of those typical scumbags, so to speak, who knock a girl up and then disappear and ghost them, which is absolutely terrible. You do have to do the best thing for yourself. And if you get a woman pregnant and then you decide really, oh my God, I can't do this, maybe she doesn't know your real name. Maybe she, whatever the case may be. And you're like, okay, screw this, I gotta go. And then you move back to your country, or you go to Spain or Portugal or Costa Rica or Georgia or Montenegro or wherever, and you just leave her behind. Now, you might have a guilty conscience. She might be lying. She might not even be pregnant. But if you're married, that's a legal thing that's probably pretty hard to get out of. So, I pity the fool who would get into this situation to begin with, getting married and having a kid on the way within a few months of arriving in the country. That's just a sad state. I don't really have anything I can say to help you, but I would implore you to please do your research before you get into this situation. Explore things, let things breathe, just see what happens, and protect yourself from crazy people, from bad decision making. No matter how good something is or how good something seems, do you really know the girl? I don't know. It's hard for me to wrap my head around this, because it seems absolutely bonkers that anybody would get into that situation. But let's continue.
I've seen it many, many times. It's sad, but you can't do nothing to stop it. They're grown adults, right? Let them do what they want to do. But we all know it's a horrible choice. Just to give you a little background, I've lived here for 3 years, and I've dated 3 Filipinas, 2 of them single mothers.
I don't want to date a single mom. I don't. That's so much more baggage than you need. You don't need to put yourself in that kind of a situation. You want to get to know the person. You want to get to know the woman. You don't need to add a third person that's going to need whatever, new shoes or a babysitter or whatever the case may be. Like, why do you need to do that? There are so many who are not single moms. You might have to skew a little bit younger, and I don't know exactly how I feel about that. Age is not really a big thing for me, but you might want to skew younger just to avoid more years of them having the possibility of having had a child who, if they're single moms, there's some dad out there somewhere, and I don't know where he is, or if he's really in the kid's life or in the mom's life. You don't want that kind of thing, especially with there being some kind of like adultery law where I guess you could go to jail or something if you were to be found having an affair with a married woman. So she could say she's single, but who knows if she really is. She could say she doesn't have any kids. Who knows if that's actually the case? You just have to use your best judgment. Ask them. Like, I might even consider getting some kind of a legal document that they can sign that basically just says, I attest that I am single, or I'm not married, and I don't have any children. I don't know. That sounds a little bit far-fetched. I'm not opposed to it. You just want to cover your bases. But man, I mean, this guy, I don't want to say he could do better, but 2 out of 3 are single moms, and he's only dated 3 women in 3 years. I'm very curious as to what else he has to say, because again, that's not the situation I would find myself in.
I'll probably never do that again. So like I was saying, I've seen these guys come here, they fall in love with the first Filipina that gives them a little bit of attention. And then next thing you know, they're married and got a kid on the way, and they're trying to get her back to their home country, whatever. Personally, I think that's a bad idea. I think you should approach it slowly. And I am speaking from experience, right? I am speaking from experience. So you should approach it slowly. Take your time. Get to know them. Make sure that they are the right one for you. As cheesy as that sounds, there seems to be an issue that I have noticed. What's up, guys? There seems to be an issue that I have noticed with Filipinas. Walking by a motorcycle shop, and I'm walking down the road, so it's really, really loud.
Man, I want to say kudos to him for being able to live in a place like this. That's, again, not what I'm interested in. I want more of the flashy, sort of upscale, luxurious version of the Philippines, which is BGC. I think everybody knows that. But, you know, a guy like this, points are completely valid, and there are plenty of guys like him who go to these areas and that's what they want. Maybe it's because of their budget. Maybe they can only afford $300 a month. And I do have a video that I'm trying to prepare in the background about, it's not really cost of living, it's more just financial related, because in short, just a quick preview, cost of living is fine. There's rent, there's all these different things that you have to pay for in the country that you're moving to. But what about all the things that you still have in your home country? So I have student loans, ridiculous student loans. I can't stand it. I have a huge personal loan. I have, you know, I'm not done paying off my car. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that specifically, but there's a bunch of stuff that I need to take care of here, which I am doing, and I'm working really hard on it, but that's a preview. There's things back home as well, but maybe you can't afford that much and you need to move to a more rural area like this because you have a pension or you have Social Security. And that's basically all you can afford to have a relatively good life. Well, you know, I'm going to have a job that's work from home. That's the other video that I've got coming up, is talking about how I'm going to go about doing that. But I'm going to have a regular US income. It's not going to be super awesome, you know, but it's going to be something where I should have location independence. And I don't see myself, if I can knock out some of these installment payments, buy now, pay laters, etc., personal loan, that I don't see really any issue for me choosing BGC financially. It's not going to be like, I'm not going to be able to have $5,000 a month, but, you know, it should be fairly comfortable. But, you know, whatever. I don't know what that segue was about. Forgive me.
I need to try to get the mic for this camera, the wireless mic. Anyways.
Oh yeah, I couldn't live in a place like this. I think maybe for like a week or something, if for somehow I was taken out there, but this isn't the kind of place that would make me feel very comfortable. So, you know, good for him, but it's not for me. That was my point.
You know, I have noticed that with a lot of Filipinas, now I'm not saying all, okay, but the ones that I have met and dated, there seems to be a lot of emotional instability, or they're not fully emotionally mature. They might say they are, but they're not. And they'll show it to you eventually. Yeah, I'm just trying to tell people this so they can learn from my mistakes, right? Don't be that foreigner that comes here and just, you know, starts building a house. We've all seen it. I did it. I did it in Palawan. I started to try to build a house. I learned that lesson very quickly.
So I love and appreciate his candidness and his honesty, because that's what I want to present. Even if, I mean, again, I'm telling you guys up front, probably some of my views and perspectives are not going to be that well received, but it's still what it is. He said he wants to help people avoid the mistakes that he's made. And he said he's dated 3 women in 3 years, 2 single moms. He even like he said, avoid the mistakes that he's made. Well, I feel like he's made the same mistake multiple times, and he's made some pretty big, stupid mistakes. No offense if you're watching this, Joey. I'm not, no shade. I just mean, I hope it doesn't become a repeating pattern to where in a year you're making another video where now you've dated 4 women, 3 single moms, you built a second house, and also it's Explores SEA. So again, I haven't watched any of his videos so far, but it sounds like so far it's really just Joey in the Philippines. Hopefully he moves or he does something a little bit different to expand on the SEA, the Southeast Asia aspect of his channel name, or just change the channel name, either way. But I don't know. I'm going to make mistakes wherever I go. I absolutely know I will, but I don't feel so good about him talking about making mistakes like he did, and seeing that he's kind of made the mistakes like multiple times. Like at a certain point, you have to learn and change your behavior.
I will only ever rent in this country again.
And, that's what he says. And, I can't really say for sure my situation. If I go to BGC and I love it, and I'm there for 2-3 years, and I'm 50 years old, and, I can get a retirement visa and I have a decent income from either the work from home or some art or from YouTube. If I really like it and it just really fits me and I feel super comfortable there, then why wouldn't I? I would consider buying a condo. If it's in BGC, if it's in a good location, it's a nice building with the amenities that I'm looking for, and it's within walking distance to all of the things that I like to do. I mean, I don't see why not, but he's talking about building a house. I think that's a completely different sort of story because, unless there's some laws I don't know about, if I were to have a condo in BGC and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to the United States for a while, or I'm going to go try living in Spain, which I was watching some videos earlier about, I think it's called Antigua, Antilles, I forget, but whew, man, it is gorgeous. It's like California with a little bit of Spanish flair, but the beaches and the coast and the palm trees and just, oh man, super, super pretty. And I'm sure the weather is way better than the hot, humid Philippine weather, but I digress. It's just building a house, that's a huge investment. It's not like, you can't rent it out. So what I was trying to say, and sorry, the tangent, I confused myself there for a second, but if you have a nice condo in, say, BGC or Kuala Lumpur City Center or wherever else, the hot area of a city, Nomad Capitalist also talks a lot about Turkey. I'm not so sure how I feel about Turkey, but I would definitely go and check it out. Absolutely. And he talks about the neighborhoods that he lives in and spends time in, and they're very nice. So, I would want something to where I can rent it out and get some money while I'm not there. A place like this, if you build a house, you're not renting it out, at least not to a foreigner. And if you can, the choices are so limited probably that you can't, how can you really trust the person is going to pay you or is a good tenant? Whereas if you were to have a condo in BGC and you wanted to rent it out, you're probably going to have a lot of options as far as different potential tenants, and you can really, figure out who do you like, who do you feel comfortable with. You can kind of, filter people out, maybe meet them and really find someone that you feel comfortable with to rent your place. So that would be something I would consider, and I would definitely consider buying a condo if I was there for a few years and I really decided, you know what, this place I can see myself living in for the long term, but building a house, yeah, no.
And I will never do any substantial purchases or anything with a woman unless we are married. So, but yeah, guys, come on, man. I mean, the country has millions and millions of beautiful women, good women, hardworking women. Don't just shack up with the first one that shows you attention, okay? Take your time, get to know them, date for a while, see how it goes. I mean, it's, you know, but then again, you're also grown adults. I can't tell you what to do.
It's just funny to me because, like, everything he's saying, I totally agree with. I do. I just have a much more long-winded way of saying it. I don't know why. I guess I have like diarrhea of the mouth, as my dad used to call it. I just can't really stop talking. And I think he's much more to the point. But the things he's saying, I mean, I totally agree with. I just can't say it in such a succinct way. So hopefully you like that. But if you don't, you might want to check out his channel. Again, Joey Explores SEA. And maybe give him a like, give him a sub. I'm not sure if I will yet, but for this video so far, I like it. And, you know, doing YouTube is a challenge. I mean, he's just doing vlogs. He's just walking around, recording himself. I mean, I'm no expert. I think the video looks good. The audio is clear. You know, he's got the little graphic of the subscribe earlier on. Like, you know, it's nothing fancy, but it totally works. I don't know how mine is. I have a lot of work to do on my whole setup. I want to paint the walls like a darker, kind of a gray-green kind of a color. I want to put maybe some of those vertical slats, those wood slats up. I don't know, man. There's maybe a plant. There's so many things I want to do. I need to get like one of those lights that gives me the soft lighting. Like I do a lot of sort of research online about YouTube studio setup and equipment and all of that stuff. It's just a matter of money. And there's way more important things, like I mentioned before, paying off debt than buying new things. So I want a lot of nice, cool new things. But more than that, I need to clean up my debt so I can lower my monthly expenses so that I don't need to make as much. Even in a cheaper country, I still need less debt so my money goes further, because there's nothing worse than going to a cheaper foreign country and then still feeling like you're in the same position that you're currently in, which is struggling paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. And then you're like, but it's so cheap here. How did I get myself into this position to where I don't even feel like I'm living a better quality of life than when I was back home? I might as well just go back home. I mean, there are many other factors than just cost of living, but let's continue.
On the single mother aspect of dating, I personally won't do it again, because when you date a single mother, her children will always come first, which is rightfully so. But it can also put strain on a relationship. What's up, guys?
What's up, man? Oh, yeah.
It puts a lot of strain on the relationship, because now she has to try to divide her time equally between you and her children. So, to make life less stressful for you, I highly... Now I don't want to seem bad, okay? Hello, Poe. So I don't want to seem bad. There's nothing wrong with dating a single mother. I'm just saying, from my personal experience, I will more than likely not do it again. It would have to take a special woman. I don't have to worry about that. It's a lot of stress and a lot of hassle, and you know, you'll never be able to discipline her kids because they're her kids. You're not their father. They will never see you as their father. They might say they do, and you know, she might tell you things, but the reality of the situation is you will never be their dad. You'll be their dad. You'll be the guy that pays for them and supports them, but you won't be their father most of the time. So, in my personal opinion, I think it's easier just to find a woman that is single, has never been married, doesn't have any kids, and start a relationship fresh like that.
And like I mentioned before, you know, they can lie. They can say whatever they want, you know, on their profile, or if you're meeting them for coffee just out in the wild, they can say they're single. They can say they don't have any kids. You just have to take their word for it. I would hope they wouldn't lie, but there probably are a decent amount who would. And they'll just tell you later after, you know, you fall in love with them. They'll kind of spill the beans and let you know what's really going on, and hope, you know, that you've built such a kind of a relationship with them to where, oh, okay, fine. That's fine. I like you. I love you, whatever. So it's fine. Thank you for telling me. I wish I would have known earlier, but, you know, I care about you too much now, you know, so maybe that would be the case. But I mean, all you can really do is ask, or if it's an online type of thing, just look. Do they have it marked that they don't have children? Do they have it? Well, I guess a lot of them aren't going to have a marker thing for if they're married or not. We would assume they're not. But, you know, at least they're usually going to have, do they have children or not? Do they want children or not? So, you know, all you can really do is take it at face value and hope they're being truthful. And if the truth comes out later that's different than what they initially presented, then it's of course your decision on how to proceed. Hopefully everybody's got their own thing. I'm not going to tell anybody how to think or feel. I don't know how I would react, but I'm pretty sure I know how I would react. But until it actually happens, you just don't know, because there's so many factors that go into these kinds of things. It's not necessarily black and white.
Personal opinion. Okay. Other than that, dating here is fairly easy, fairly straightforward. So the women are very approachable, more so than Western women. You could just go up and start a conversation, not a problem. You might get shot down. You might get lucky. Who knows? You know. But here you can actually try, and they won't be rude about it like Western women. They won't be like, "Ew, get the fuck away from me." You know, they're not like that here. They'll just politely decline. So, yeah, just give it a shot. You know, like I said, these are just my personal opinions. If you guys have had a different experience, let me know. Put it in the comments. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
All right. And then finally, to wrap this up, let me just take a look at the comments. I think I did comment myself. Maybe not. All right. So this guy says, if you are dating one, never let them stay in your condo or apartment, because it's very hard to get them to leave. Trust me, I found out multiple times. So that's another situation of, you know, making a mistake more than once. And I've heard that before. So I don't really think I can afford a 2-bedroom apartment, for example, but I think ideally I would at least have like a 1-bedroom with maybe a nook, like maybe a little office, like a half room that has a lock on the door where I would put, you know, maybe that's where my computer would be, whether it's a laptop or, because I'm on a desktop right now, I don't necessarily think I would be taking that with me. And, you know, maybe I'd have a lockbox with my passport. Like there would be some really important things that would be behind a locked, closed door where we never have to go in there. You know, all you really need is the kitchen, the living room, the bathroom, and the bedroom. You know, because you don't know what's going to happen and you don't want to fall asleep. And then while you're asleep, who knows if she gets up, depending on if you're a light or a heavy sleeper, but you don't know if she's going to be searching around and maybe stealing stuff or taking down your card information, your credit card. And then, maybe you see her again or not. But the last thing you want is to invite someone over. And again, while you're sleeping or while you're in the shower, they get up and they start rummaging around your stuff. So I would definitely have some kind of a plan to keep all of my important things safeguarded. And if it's a nice condo building, it's even possible, I would guess, that maybe downstairs in the lobby, not the lobby, but behind the front desk area, maybe they have a concierge, maybe they have like a safe deposit box or a special room where, you can store your valuables, and then, you just kind of come in, they know you, you can kind of get them if you need them. If you're going on vacation, you need your passport. I don't know. There's probably some kind of a service there, but, the last thing you want is for someone to come in and like cause a lot of problems for you while you're, again, not aware of it. So yeah, inviting someone over could be a challenge. And I'm sure there's probably someone who's done a video on that I can react to in more depth. But anyway, I thought that was a pretty good video. I liked it. Again, it's Joey Explores Southeast Asia. So try a different place. I'd like to see what kind of an experience he would have if he went to Thailand or Malaysia or Vietnam or somewhere else in the region. But anyway, that's going to do it for me for this video. If you like it, please like it. If you want to see more, if you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.